All right, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Back to the Blockbuster. My name is Gans Bowling, and I apologize. I sound like I'm going through puberty again. It was a long weekend, um,
It
as
was
Jack
a
can attest
weekend filled with sunshine, extremely tall people, lots of Fanta shots. And if you don't know what a Fanta shot is, I don't think you want to know unless you know.
to.
And
Yeah,
personal here.
yeah.
So
So
it was a good weekend all around for everybody.
it was, and you know what? I got through most of it not sounding like this until I woke up this morning. It was that extra day, that Sunday fun day. I just had to go out. I do
Dude,
like for those listening. I was with Jack a lot of the weekend, but yesterday I wasn't, and I think I posted a story at this bar that we go to, and all he said
shout
was
out
like
Shellback Tavern.
"Showback Tavern," and all he sent back was "Oh Lord," and I was like, "That's a good sign that I probably shouldn't
Gone.
have been out."
He's gone.
Gone. Um,
Well, I mean, Sunday fun day, I'm cool with it until it's like 5, 6, like get to a certain point, 5, 6. After that, you're really asking for a bad Monday, you know,
yeah, you're like,
especially like
yeah, you're like, I
especially where
should have
we
gone home.
live, where like sports end at 8, like national sports end at 8 o'clock for us. So we have like a built-in excuse for come football season. It's like it's 8 o'clock, there's nothing on, I'm going home. For
Right.
everyone else, it sucks. That's why one thing I'll always say: watching football on the West Coast is one of the greatest things that no one talks about. Wake up early to watch it. You end early to finish. It's
It's
great.
true. It's true. And there were several moments yesterday where I looked at my phone and I was like, it's 5. It's 5:30. It's 6:30. Oh, it's 7. Why am I still out? And then I like you guys don't know about where we live really, but like then I was like, you know what? Let's go to Tower 12 in Hermosa Beach, which is like when I should have just gone home. And I you know what? I stayed for like 30 minutes, and then that's like I gotta go. I gotta go. I can't be out anymore. I can't do this.
Yeah, no, I will not be discussing anything that goes on at Tower 12. You can only be
Yeah, yeah.
there.
You can only be there, yeah.
Yeah,
But it was
you
a
can only be there.
it was a fun Sunday. We met a lot of cool people, new people too. It was like a really good time. So I'd have no regrets. My voice
No
does, but
regrets. But
I don't.
dude, in those instances, I feel like we need to make T-shirts. You know,
For
like we need a little branding
oh
for ourselves.
like when I'm just out and about.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. I mean, we're out and about together, so it's like, just saying.
Support. Yeah, you know what? That
Playlist. What's good?
and I would actually wear
Um,
those out. I would wear those
I
out. So
know.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I would too. Give me a good hoodie. Hell yeah.
All right. Food for
Anywho,
thought.
yeah.
Food for thought.
Food for thought. Anywho, let's get to the entertainment stuff today, baby. Anything going on?
Yeah. There were there. You know what? News was kind of slow, but there were some things that happened. And, you know, I will start it with the Game of Thrones prequel series, House of the Dragon. I did not watch it, but
Not
I
yet.
guess I guess yeah, I haven't watched it yet. I guess everyone was really missing anything Game of Thrones adjacent because it is HBO's biggest premiere ever. Nearly 10 million people watched it across all of their platforms. Um, it's also it's like let me pull up the exact numbers. I guess the debut was also 350% above Game of Thrones' 2011 premiere. Now the key difference is like there's HBO Max and like all these other ways you can watch these new shows now. But I think it kind of goes a long way. Like a lot of people on Twitter were saying, like, see, people weren't that mad about how Game of Thrones ended. They really wanted to see something else from that brand. And um and I know HBO is very happy because I don't know how much the budget is. I'm sure it's huge. I know the marketing budget was $100 million, and that's really big for
That's
a
nothing.
TV for a TV show like for its
But a
premiere
TV
episode.
show, yeah,
Well,
okay, yeah, I
that's
get
just for its
that.
premiere
For the
episode,
pilot,
yeah.
but $100 million is nothing to HBO.
Yeah,
Um, foregoing, I am not a Thrones guy. Um, so I am now having I haven't watched it either. I'm watching it tonight, and this is Monday when we're recording, so it's like my
yeah.
Monday night now. Um, never got into Thrones, just got to it too late, and it was just too much to like really get like caught up on. And
We're
then
in the
once
same boat.
I'm one of those people that once everyone starts talking about it, like I'm not going to talk about it, like unless we do it here.
Yeah.
But it's just like whatever. But I'm excited for this. Definitely cool. Dragons are dope. Duh. Um, and then I will say it's a double edged sword when a new show comes out and they talk about like being like the highest fucking release. It's like, yeah, dude, of course it is. You have more platforms to watch it on. People can watch it over 3 days. It's not just
Right.
obviously HBO. It releases at like one time, so everyone has to sit down at one time to watch it. But like I'd imagine that they have a little bit of metrics where it's like some people watch the date of the premiere, some people
Yeah.
waited till like 11 o'clock at night to watch it. Like
Right.
I would have just out,
Yeah, they do
just
like
based on
the
schedule.
live. Yeah, they do like the live, and then they do like an hour later or like later that night. It's kind of like based on like all that, and then of course HBO Max is its own thing, even though they don't release those numbers.
Yeah, they go
They
through like
they
Samba TV, which is
yeah,
very
yeah,
odd.
yeah.
Um,
So,
But
but
I
I
will
mean,
say it was significant. Did you happen to see this Instagram post where it was a video of some dude in New York City, and he put his phone, he like stared his phone up to the
oh,
side of a
all the
building,
windows
and
watching.
all the windows are open,
Yeah,
and
that was
everything
cool.
changed immediately, like with it. So everyone's watching it. So like
Everyone's watching it.
we have a due service to the people who listen to our podcast. We have to watch it.
Yeah,
Now,
and
do
not
we
will we like
many
it?
episodes? We might need to put that in a poll.
Yeah,
So, yeah, because we could
and
dedicate a whole thing to it.
honestly, we will consider doing this for like a lot of big TV shows that are coming out. Like,
Yeah,
we have Lord
dude,
of the Rings coming out pretty soon. Um,
I'm so in on Lord of the Rings. It's not even funny.
so many people aren't because they kind of Peter Jackson wasn't consulted on the show at all, and that kind of rubbed a lot of fans the wrong way. I know he's not the end all be all, but he did direct, you know, all those movies, and they're like they made a lot of money. They're beloved. They're critical darlings. A lot of people love them. Some fans were really irked that Amazon didn't even like approach him like to consult him on it
Did
whatsoever.
they
Now,
not approach him?
yeah, I mean, granted, he's that's what he said. I mean, granted,
That's what, if
it's a
he. I mean, if he said they didn't approach him, then you have to kind of take him at his word. But like,
yeah,
it's. I mean, it's
eh,
act. It's not. It's one of those things where like Owen, if when he's on, he hates the newer trilogy, which
the
obviously
Hobbit.
very
Yeah,
the Hobbits. It's totally understandable how someone would not like it comparative to like the Lord of the Rings we grew up on, where it was like
right.
practical CGI and practical effects comparative to just green screen adventures. Um, but I'm all in on both. Like either or, it's like, dude, the fucking the dwarves, the fucking elves, the creatures, the magicalness of it all. I'm so in
Yeah,
on it. And just from like the trailers, they mentioned a few names that they mentioned in Hobbit, like Durin and all these things. So I'm like, I'm in. Like,
right.
because I'm in. So it's I mean same thing. I just wish I had a little bit more Game of Thrones knowledge. But I don't think we need a lot to know. But
I
I'm
mean,
I'm jacked for both of these shows. Very happy for both of these shows that are coming out
yeah,
right now.
and Amazon Prime Video, they want this show to be their Game of Thrones. That's what they're hoping for. They put a lot of money, a ton of money into it, and there's like this like now there's competition between both. Like they're like House of the Dragon just premiered, Lord of the Rings comes out like I think early September. So now there's like between their fan bases, it's like okay, which show is going to be better, and all that kind of stuff. Um,
Do
for
we
right
know the
now,
release schedule of
I
uh
think it
of
Lord of the
of Lord of
Rings.
the Rings?
I want to say it's right after Labor Day. Let me I'll look that up really quick.
No, yeah,
Um,
because I hope they like stagger it so everyone can enjoy watching both shows and not have to like choose between like obviously it's streaming, so you don't have to choose between anything. But there
oh
is so much stuff out there that it's like pick 2 or 3 shows to watch and dedicate
yeah.
yourself to that. Watch the other stuff, watch it, but it's so hard
Uh,
to follow everything right now.
well, they won't be competing against each other on the same day. Series premiere is Friday, September 2nd. I'm assuming new episodes will release on the Friday. I that's not,
Friday's the
that,
worst.
that
Friday's the worst day in my
that is the
opinion.
worst day to drop a
The
show. I mean, like I
worst
would. I
day.
mean, yeah, I feel like Wednesday's a good time. That's a good sweet spot.
Wednesday is
Like
the
midweek.
Wednesday is perfect because it's like I
Um,
gotta get to this show. If I can get to Thursday, if I can get to Wednesday, I could talk
Yeah.
about it Thursday, and then Friday's over.
That's why
But
I was so
yeah,
happy.
no.
I was so happy I got to watch The Boys early because The Boys is another. I guess Amazon does this like with a lot of their big shows. They like drop on like Friday, and it's not really convenient for my schedule and life. But like,
No, yeah, I mean, it's
yeah, it seems like
like
a
if you're
weird.
an
It does
adult,
seem
if
like a
you're
weird
an
day.
adult, like yeah, if you're an adult, normally they wrote me in by watching it like in the middle of the day, like I'll be doing work. It's like, fuck, I really want to watch The Boys right now. It's like I could wait till later, like when I'm kind of
Yeah,
tipsy after we go out and watch it, and then have to rewatch it again, or just wait and then, or just so I end up watching it Friday just because I want to see it. But
right,
Amazon does do in bulk. So like I think their strategy is that they get everyone hyped on those first 3 episodes that are released that weekend, and then
right.
they go to the singular rather than HBO just being like, "Yo, we own Sunday." Which,
Yeah,
but it's gonna be funny too, um, because football is back, so they're competing with Monday Night
yeah.
Football.
That's true. I mean, like it'll be interesting if like the Game of
No,
Thrones
excuse
show
me,
too,
Sunday Night Football,
Sunday Night
not Monday
Football,
Night.
if they can sustain these ratings, like leading up to that, like if they'll be able to like kind of. I mean, I think this out of the gate response was like people just miss anything anything Game of Thrones related. Um, and though and reviews weren't bad either. It has like an 83% on Rotten Tomatoes. Like it was generally well received. I think for people who watched the premiere. Um, I know for some people I talked to, they said it felt weird watching a show where they didn't know any of the characters, and that's a
Oh,
struggle
boo
of
hoo!
yeah, that's the struggle of like a prequel, right? You're not gonna know anyone from the original. There's yeah, no one
Yeah,
from the original show is there, so
that's
you
the
just
point
deal
of
with
the new
that,
show, people.
right? Uh,
It's like,
yeah, it's unfortunate, but for now, the HBO has bragging rights. It did well. They've been waiting for like a global hit like this again. They've been trying to find their next Game of Thrones. I mean, Westworld is successful, but not on that level. Euphoria is really successful, but not on like a global level. It's really big on social media
American.
and here, yeah. Um, but they were looking for that like worldwide like hit again, and in week one they have it. So we'll kind of see how they keep doing in the subsequent weeks. I can't really tell the overall like response yet. But I probably will from like regular viewers. But I think like by midweek you'll kind of see like okay, this is what people think of it so far, and yeah, and then we will actually start sharing what we think of it because I am like Jack, not a Game of Thrones person. Um, I'm not really into usually like fantasy and dragons and stuff like that. But for the sake of
Have to admit, dragons are dope.
dragons are dope. But for the sake of the pod, I will check it out because it's like work. So yeah,
I mean, yeah, I mean, I'd be shocked if Joe Blow didn't ask you to write something for.
on it, yeah. And then like, you know what's funny though? I was talking to another writer on another site, and we were talking about the Lord of the Rings show, and he posted his interviews from the show, and he was like on Twitter, and he was like, "Dude, I was today years old when I realized that no one wants this show to happen." He's like, "I posted those interviews, and like all the comments were like, we don't support this. Like this isn't really like our Lord of the Rings." And this is before anyone sees it, and like, and that's kind of like going to transition into like the next thing I'm going to talk about is like there is a lot of like fandom backlash against things before people even like watch it, and it's like ridiculous. Like,
Well, that's one thing with social media. It's just like Twitter. Like we've said it before, Twitter's the worst place in the world,
right,
and no one has anything positive to say about anything. We're like, I'm going past talking about just like new shows or like
no,
IPs that like
yeah,
we all like cherish. Like no one has anything nice to say anything anymore. Like you know what,
right.
Jace? That's dope hat. I don't ever see you wear hats that often. So nice hat, man.
Thank you, buddy. I also like your hat.
Thank
I
you
see
very
you in hats
much.
all the time. I see you in hats all the time, though. But yes, I agree.
I have a
I
lot of
agree.
hats. I have a
I
shit ton of
agree.
hats.
It's weird. Like like however we might feel. Like I said, I watched She-Hulk, and you said you watched it as well, and like whatever your feelings are on it, I thought it was absolutely ridiculous that before the show premiered, that means regular people haven't seen it. Like critics, I saw like first 4 episodes, but like regular people hadn't, and all these people went to IMDb and review bombed it with 1-star reviews, and it was mostly men in their 30s, so they actually could see like how old you are when you vote on that. and it was just negative just to be for the sake of being negative. And this has happened before with like the MCU and DC stuff all the time. Uh, but it's ridiculous. And now on the flip side of that, there's the other side too. A lot of people that saw those first 4 episodes and were like, "Oh, it's not my cup of tea. I don't really like it." They got attacked by like hardcore Marvel fans. Like really, like I have a one of the guys I follow on Twitter. He happens to be gay, and he got a random like hateful comment about his sexuality just because he didn't like the first couple episodes of the show. It has nothing to do with the show at all. Like it's
We're
just
talking
people.
about She-Hulk, right?
Yeah, yeah. Just people are
Yeah,
just really just like complete assholes online, especially when they haven't even seen something yet. Like if you've seen it, fine. Like go on a rant, say why you liked it, say why you didn't like it, debate with someone about why you know you liked it and they didn't. But like if you haven't set your eyes on it, like I feel like IMDb should have a better practice of like letting you like vote for stuff like that if it hasn't premiered yet. Like you shouldn't be able to vote for on a show or movie 3 days before it comes out.
Well, I'm pretty sure that like that's it's one of those things where it's like the movie company like makes a deal with them and they turn the ratings off. You know, like when
Right, right.
when fucking Captain Marvel just started dive bombing because it rightfully
Same.
rightfully deserved to be dive bombed because it's not a good movie. Um, has nothing to
But
do
they,
with my
but they were dive bombing it for like other reasons too. Like
yeah,
a
but
lot of it
yeah,
had to do with her.
yeah, I think yeah, it's weird because like you go by cinema score. I usually abide by IMDb more than I do Rotten Tomatoes. Rotten Tomatoes is just like, it's the tomato meter. So
Yeah, yeah,
um so I just think it's all arbitrary. I just think wish people like were just generally nicer, you know. It's
yeah.
I mean, I
I
know
agree.
there's a business involved in all this, and in the release of Snyder Cut movement definitely set a precedent for fandom in the sense that if you drum up enough something, or and Sonic too, where you like the Sonic whole mishap, you can affect change in an IP that you like. But shut the fuck up. You're not the director. You're not like if you had value in this position, you'd be in the position to make a change. If not,
Right,
just stop talking. Like just be like, I'm gonna. You could be skeptical. It's like, hey, or you can just be like, hey, I just flat out don't like the look of
right.
these trailers right now. But like,
Yeah.
you can't hate on me for being excited. Or like,
And the thing,
it's
yeah, and those two movements actually more so the Snyder cut movement. I think it just gave a lot of like regular. I don't even want to say kids. I think it's everyone, adults, kids, whoever wanted it. It gave them a voice, and the fact that they got it released made them go like, "See, like we were so vocal that we got this to happen." And then someone told me that could be like a dangerous thing, like moving forward for like other industry stuff,
oh, it
because like,
absolutely is.
and and I think that movement kind of started like this whole thing with like almost every project now. Like, oh, if it's something we don't like, we can make them change it, or we can affect that kind of change like by just complaining about it on social media. And I think that's why it's only gotten worse. Like it's only gotten more, and people get more and more vocal. They get more mean. uh yeah, so like it's a double-edged sword because I'm on the one hand they were right in the case of the Snyder cut to do it. um and
And they
I
raised
mean,
a shit ton of money. Like it's
and
not
they
just
raise a lot
like
of
they
money
were
for charity,
upfront.
right?
They did a lot for charity and shit like that too. So
And
yeah.
I would even argue that the whole backlash against the original look of Sonic was justified because it didn't look great.
So justified.
um and you know what, Paramount did the right thing and they went back and changed it right away. And now you have
And good for them, and it made a hit.
yeah, you have a franchise now. You have two successful movies with a third one on the way. So it can work. I just know that like there's more examples of it just being a lot of like talk than it actually like turning into something successful. Um, and I think that's the problem. But like the thing is like when you have like a couple of moments where it's like, okay, we got them to change this, they're just gonna try every single time they don't like something. And this is like these are Star Wars fans, either Marvel fans, or DC fans, Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, all the big like IPs you can think of. I think they feel like they can change something by sending out a single tweet, and that's the crazy thing about it. And it's kind of it's as a fan of movies and TV and stuff, it's not cool to see the ugly side of that because it's like when you have that camaraderie and you're talking about stuff you love, it's cool to kind of have that on social media and like doing what we're doing on here. Like you're talking about things that like you all enjoy. So on the one hand, it can be very, very positive, but then you go on Twitter for like 5 minutes after certain things come out, and it's just like there's already like pitchforks and fires out of nowhere over like someone having an opinion. Like I have a friend that said that he doesn't even know if he wants to cover Marvel stuff anymore because of like what happened with the She-Hulk uh, stuff with him. Because he just said it was just so overwhelmingly negative that it kind of soured him like wanting to cover their stuff. Now I'm sure he'll still cover it because it brings views and it brings followers, but I see its point though.
No, yeah, I mean, it's and again, I think I would agree with your friend more too because I think it's just I'm tired of Marvel. It's
Yeah,
again like I'm the reset king for Marvel. Like I'm not invested in these characters. So yeah. And then for people in Marvel to then be so against like something that like, dude, like shut up. You were not a fan of insert character here until
yeah,
Marvel put them on the big screen, and now you're all of a sudden a aficionado of like they should do this way or that way. Like, get out
yeah.
of town. Like
Yep.
as like me and you personally, like we grew up with like knowing at least one comic book character like very well. Mine happened to be the Joker and Batman, and I have opinions on those things. But
Right.
at the end of the day, I'm still gonna watch the movies. And again, I'm getting a real Batman in real life. Like that's fucking dope. That's awesome. So I'm gonna be happy with that. Now,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna but like that's it. I mean, the most negative I've done, I think, is that I don't like Brie Larson and Jennifer Lawrence, and that I don't think that the Joker 2 should be a musical. That's about it.
Yeah,
Other than that,
but you wouldn't go online and
no, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. Yeah,
talk shit about
exactly.
Brie Larson and be like, because the Brie Larson gets attacked a lot because she's very vocal, and that's her prerogative. She can be vocal. I mean, like she like that's
Yeah,
and
I've never
like
met her
I
in person, so I can't give you
yeah.
a whole entire like actual grading on her. But like, just from what
Yeah.
I personally think that she wasn't acting in Silver Linings Playbook, and that she was just acting like herself.
Oh, Jennifer Lawrence. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
So,
I have
um,
feelings. I have
I
feelings
digress.
about her too. But
I dig- I
I have
digress.
feelings
But
about her
yeah,
too. But yeah. But
I
I get what you're
digress.
saying. But
Just
yeah.
be nicer, people.
But that's the difference between you being like a mature adult. You wouldn't go on Twitter and like to
Yeah.
try to destroy her online. Like, why do you even like? Who has? Why do you have the time to do that? Like, not you, but like the people that choose to. Like,
No,
what
yeah.
else is going on in your life? You are like,
Trolls, man.
I want to do this. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Um,
Trolls, bro.
some fun, kind of fun casting news that
Well,
started. I want
wait,
that
before
like,
we get,
oh yeah, yeah.
yeah, did you watch She-Hulk?
I did watch She-Hulk.
What do you think?
I like I went so I went in with like lowered expectations because I kept hearing mixed things. It's only one episode and it's like what 25 minutes. Um, I think because it feels like a change of pace from like we're normally getting from them. I liked it on that level. I liked the attempts of kind of making like the things I was worried about were the things I kind of enjoyed watching, like the whole workplace comedy vibe. I kind of dug that. I think Tatiana is really good in the role so far. Like she's really good at balancing the comedy and stuff too. I thought some of the stuff um is a little heavy handed, but I mean, but I'm not a woman, so I can't really like. I feel like I can't really like.
That was gonna be my point too. I've like
I feel
it's yeah.
yeah.
I
I
watched
feel
it
like I
and
can't.
I
Yeah,
forgot that it came out. It's like, oh wait, hold on, let me pop this on. Um, First off, first, motherfucking Marvel, stop with the 25-minute episodes. Like, just you have enough money to make a fucking full length episode. Just make it full. It's so annoying. I know, Gaze, your point was like it's like a 25-minute, like they're changing like the whole
sitcom.
sitcom kind of thing. But with these type of shows and with the type of fans that we have, like they have,
Yeah,
just give them just 45 minutes. Just it would have. I feel like it would have been a lot like it was a very abrupt like They're in her
And
office doing talking, and all of a sudden it's like, oh wait, and she breaks the fourth wall, which I think is she's very good at doing that.
yeah,
Um, I did not like her comment though about how she's like, oh yeah, me and Deadpool are gonna have a fourth wall off, like who can do it better. It's like,
yeah,
relax, dude, like relax, okay. I
calm
I
down.
know, but n- no one
Well,
beats Deadpool at breaking the fourth wall, like
they
literally
have to
no
go
one.
there. Yeah,
Yeah. So, also it's like when the fuck would ever She-Hulk and Deadpool be in the same scene? So, anywho, um, it was just so abrupt. It went right from the courtroom to then the Hulk training,
yeah,
and then it went right back to like the courtroom where like it seems that if it's I don't know how long it was. I forgot how long it was between leaving the island and being in the courtroom, but she was hiding it all the time, and now she does this, and she's Hulk, and obviously the show is just gonna run from there, where she's like the Hulk, and the whole
like doing
head
balancing
of
or like yeah,
head of the
law firm. Like,
law firm for
yeah,
superheroes and all that stuff. So I'm excited to see it because I personally love courtroom shows, the banter and all that stuff. I think it's very very interesting to follow. But don't try and read it. It's impossible to read. You have to listen to it. If you do an audiobook, just listen to it.
yeah.
Um, Anywho, um, but like it leaves me
Wait.
with so many questions about like what has Bruce been doing this whole entire time.
Yeah, there's a
I
lot they
would
have
love
to.
to know more. I would love to know more about how like him and Tony like were on this island, like just hanging
Yeah,
out, like try like be like because they are actually friends like before anything. Like they're just two scientists who were just like hanging out a while back. You had the jock and then you had the nerdy nerd.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I love that. So that was awesome just to like hear that like oh during the blip like Tony wasn't so isolated, like he went to go check on Banner, and he was a good
Right.
friend, and that's definitely not something that Tony Stark from the first two movies would have done. So that's cool to
Yep.
hear. So they definitely added in some Easter eggs for like the fans, that the real fans that like would be like that's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Um I think it's pretty sweet that she like can change whenever she wants. I think that's
Yeah.
awesome. And she still contains her consciousness. Um, but yeah, no, like I think you're right on point with that meditation scene. I knew exactly where they were going with it as soon as it happened. Because like, what's the one thing you don't tell women? It's like don't get upset and
Don't get
don't and
upset.
smile more. Don't
Yeah.
get upset and smile more. It's like the two things like you just after a while it's like I don't say that. He's like he just kept saying that over and over. It's like
Yeah.
you don't know what it's
Well,
like to be a woman. I mean, we
remember that was
certainly
like
don't.
remember that was a running theme a lot in Captain Marvel, where like Jude Law's character was constantly telling her to like control her emotions, and like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like and yeah, and like it wasn't that. I just wish that was written better. I guess the thing on She-Hulk, like I wasn't like against like that message being put out there. It just felt very like I don't want. I'm trying to figure out the best way to say it. It just
It was spot on. It's
right.
100% spot on.
Yeah,
But
it
we
is spot on.
don't understand how to explain it because we're not women.
Right. So like and I actually saw that moment got debated a lot online, where it was like there was actually a male reviewer that shared that scene, and it was like, oh, like I really didn't realize it till watching this scene, like what women go through. And I was like, well, that's silly if you didn't realize that until watching an MCU show, what women go through. And then other,
Yep.
and then other guys were like, oh, do they have to put this in there? It's like, I don't feel like either of those ways. I long before that moment, we've all known women have gone through stuff like that. And then, but I also wasn't angry that it was in there. I just felt like the writing and delivery of it could have been better. And like you can do moments like that where they don't feel like they're like slapping you in the face with like the message, and that's what it kind of felt like. It felt like hey, this is the message of like the show and like her personality and what what it's like for her to control her anger and not like yeah. I just felt it was heavy handed a little bit, but as I'm watching it, like I said, like, I'm not a woman, so I can't really quite critique it. So it doesn't seem fair, I guess, for me to
No, yeah. I mean,
throw in my 2 cents.
hands up here. Did I roll my eyes after that scene? Yes, because of the reasons you're saying. It was just so heavy-handed in the way in what she was saying, but
Yeah.
there's really no other. She was mansplaining to a dude. So woman, basically, it's actually she was just explaining. She wasn't even mansplaining.
Yeah.
She was explaining to Bruce what it was, and it's like to us, it's like okay, like we get it. Like yeah, some dudes are assholes, some people are condescending, but like you don't think I
Yeah.
deal with condescending people? It's like no, because you just feel like the men get labeled argumentative, you
Right.
get labeled difficult. So I'm like
Right.
okay, totally understand that, but this day and age, equal and everything, so it's so hard not to like look at it the other way. Now it's like all right, well, if I'm argumentative, am I difficult too, you know
Right.
like so there's like totally get like being hit on, not I don't understand it, but like the cat calling comment or um but like yeah, no, she easily could have been like people trying to explain my area of expertise. She didn't have to go men explaining my area of expertise to me. It's like oh, like it could be a
Yeah.
woman that's condescending as well too. So I think she just might have, if it was a little bit more fair in her attacks at both, like what triggers her in her life,
Yeah.
I think it would have gone better rather than just being like fucking men suck. I get hit on all. They try to explain the law to me. If I do, then I'm, So I just think that she just if she more harped on like the life of it rather than like specifically men being the biggest issue in her life.
Yeah.
Um, that yeah. So
Yeah.
but then
Well,
again, also, like you could just be like, I'm really good at controlling my emotions. So
well, only one episode so far. I'm willing to, you know, I thought it was like a decent start. Definitely not the best start of like all the shows they've had so far, but I thought like
yeah,
it was like, I respect the swings to like try to do something different, and I'm willing to see where it goes. So
yeah, and I don't even know who busted it. I wish there was this context of why that person busted into the courtroom and all that nonsense too, but figure it out later.
perhaps it will be explained.
Yes.
But yeah, other than that, I wanted to talk about this casting news only because I think it's kind of cool because I think it would be kind of good if it does turn out to be true. Ryan Gosling. It was a rumor on Friday that he was joining Margot Robbie in the Ocean's 11 prequel. And then later that day, the Hollywood Reporter and Variety actually confirmed that he is in talks. I guess that means that they got along really well while making the Barbie movie together. Um, there's not a lot of,
Hold the
there's a
pause.
not, yeah,
Okay,
there's not a lot.
big old pause button here.
What?
There's a Ocean Eleven's prequel in the works here.
Oh yeah, all right. Let me throw more at you. Okay,
Yeah,
so
please, yeah, because I
it,
fucking
I,
love the
oh yeah,
Ocean's movie.
we didn't talk about this when it happened in May. So it got announced in May that Margot Robbie was going to be in a prequel to Ocean's 11,
Is she
set in
producing?
she is producing it, set in the 60s and in Europe. So far it's just her, and Ryan Gosling is still in talks to join. Directed by Jay Roach, though. He directed all three Austin Powers movies. He directed Meet the Parents and Meet the Fockers, but he also did like Bombshell which is why,
Bombshell was great.
yeah. And he directed her all the way to a Best Supporting Actress nomination. So there's that. Yeah, but not much is known about the movie other than the setting, and these two people are in it. There's some speculation that either Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling are just one of them. They'll make them related to either to Danny Ocean and Deb, and they're actually gonna make Sandra Bullock's character canon as well. So like they could be related to both of them,
Okay,
the brother and sister. Um, that's all speculation though. But yeah, there's nothing else known about the plot other than like set in the '60s and in Europe. But it sounds like it could be like a really cool idea because I think doing like a bunch of sequels most likely wouldn't work. But I'm actually down with like a going back in time kind of prequel thing with like this concept. I think it'd be like a really cool thing to have them
dude,
like gallivanting through
dude.
Europe and like making heists. It sounds fun.
No, yeah, dude. I mean, it would give me like Army of Thieves vibes.
Yeah,
Um,
I can see
but
that.
like just because I fucking love Oceans, like the Oceans movies are some of my like they're easily like all three of them easily Shawshankable top five Shawshankable movies for me on TV.
Yeah,
Like if it's on, I really have to watch it. Um, if like Margot and Ryan were like Danny Ocean's parents or like
That'd
Like
be really cool.
one was an uncle or an aunt, and the other was the husband, and then they like took him for a summer. Actually, no, it's the '60s, so he wouldn't have been alive yet. But like
Yeah.
that was the start. But like it's insinuated or like that this is where he learns all the stuff throughout his time, and it's not from his dad or his parents or we don't know much about Danny's past or that. And then like while they're on this trip, they fucking meet Rusty's parent, some like one of Rusty's parents somehow, and they all become like a trio. And, dude, like sign me the fuck up, dude. I'm
Yeah,
in 100% on this.
and like what is also kind of exciting is that you have two stars so far, and there's more cast to build around them. I'm just like wondering like how many. I mean, I think that they both like, especially her. We were talking about that last week. How she has like a lot of respect, like for producing her own stuff and getting stuff. I think she could probably get a lot of people uh involved in this if she really wanted to. I think a lot of people like working with her, and I think she has a lot of respect in the industry. And then of course, like Ryan Gosling, like this isn't the first time he's worked with like someone multiple times. Like he worked with Emma Stone, like I think on three different occasions. Like when he has like a good working relationship with someone like that, he tries to maintain it. So I think that I just like the idea. And like someone else said, like depending on how they're playing off of each other, they might have like really good chemistry in this too. Like they probably like there's a lot of potential for this to be really good, and that's pretty exciting. I think because I actually
No, yeah.
like you. I like all three. I even like Ocean's 8. I don't like mine Ocean's 8 either. I thought that was
I don't think I've seen Ocean's 8 in full, but like I love quick cuts. I love the banty the wittiness of all the banter, the personalities that like happen, like that the trope of like a heist movie where it's like you need like four people, like who all have special skills. I fucking love that. I think that's just so funny
yeah
because you can throw anyone into that role. Like they don't have to look like that person. They can just be like a computer nerd and be a bodybuilder at the same time. It's like, oh yeah, he's a bodybuilder, but he's also like, well, like went to MIT and all this stuff. Like that's like I love that stuff. So
yeah
definitely interested because of the '60s. In France, that it's like a lot of good art, probably a
a
lot of
lot
good
of
stuff to
a lot of potential theft, a lot of good theft
yeah.
that could
So
happen. Yeah,
yeah, we'll
I'm excited
definitely
for it.
keep a watchful eye on that and keep you guys updated because that sounds so fucking awesome.
Yeah, and I think one of the last things before we get into your big moment, I'm only bringing this up because so many people were upset about it on Friday when they announced it. But Paramount Pictures is doing a spinoff of Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Um, the good news is that it's coming from the creators of Cobra Kai, and I don't know if you watched Cobra Kai, but
Yeah.
Cobra Kai has done a really good job of like taking the Karate Kid branding and then like playing off of like the nostalgia for those of us who grew up with the Karate Kid, and also creating like a really good news story for like new people who weren't really that familiar with the Karate Kid. So that's the positive thing. I just don't think anyone really wants this. Like John Hughes, for a lot of people, he directed Ferris Bueller's Day Off. He did The Breakfast Club and Weird Science and so many '80s movies that like defined a generation. Pretty in Pink, 16 Candles. A lot of people think you can't touch his stuff, and that has been the case for like a lot of years where no one's really gone after it. Now there's been stuff that's been like inspired by the Breakfast Club, but not like a full on remake. Um, I guess the spinoff will involve it's going to be called Sam and Victor's Day Off, and it involves the two valet drivers that take out Cameron's Ferrari on a joyride in the original movie. Um, no talk about if anyone else. I mean, there won't be any Matthew Broderick. I doubt Alan Ruck, Jennifer Grey, who are all in the original. Um, but Paramount Pictures is said to be really excited about it because it is coming from the Cobra Kai guys. That's the only positive thing I can say. I don't think this needs a spinoff or remake or anything. I love Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Uh, it's probably one of the most, probably a near perfect like '80s teen comedy. Uh, and I don't think this is necessary. I just wish that this is one of those ideas that you're like, God, I wish like studios would get behind original ideas more instead of going into their offices and be like, you know what, we want to do a spinoff of Ferris Bueller's Day Off. That's all I'm gonna say about it. I mean, I know I shouldn't judge it before I see it. I just don't. I don't think it's a good move whatsoever.
I mean, they're not calling it a musical, so you're already on
it's
track.
already it's already good.
Already on track. I will say, I fucking love Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It was a little bit obviously before my time because I wasn't alive. But still, like, it's still related to me. Because like I can't. I honestly, guys, I'm gonna ask you this question. Can you imagine being in high school right now?
No,
Like in this day and age, like
no,
being in high school,
it's
like
so different. It's so different now.
I wouldn't know. I don't know what I would do. I really don't. I would be in
Yeah,
therapy 5 days a week. Um,
it's
it
just
would
too
be
much. it's too much.
it's too
Yeah,
much. So I when before you told me what the spinoff was actually about, I was actually kind of like, you know what, this might be good because Ferris Bueller's Day Off, like emulate like not yeah emulated the 80s vibe of like high school and the city of Chicago, yeah, city
yeah,
in the yeah city of Chicago, and like it was just it was just a fun concept of like, but everyone, this guy, he's everywhere, he's Ferris Bueller, just make sure he's okay. And you
yeah,
don't know why, but he's done all this stuff. So that movie, but I think that concept would work for nowadays, with like social media and all that stuff. I just think that that would have worked cool. To see how like someone skips class today because you literally can't miss, like, you like there's like
yeah.
you can
They
still
would.
be online and
Make him go. They make him go viral somehow. He'd be up on TikTok and Instagram.
yeah,
There'll be that
exactly.
angle too. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. It would be like one of those those horror movies where like kids try doing like more dangerous dares every single
yeah.
time. Um, so yeah, it'd be really difficult to try and mirror that image. So if they're just I mean, I really don't care if they're just taking
Like
two
side characters.
characters, yeah, two side characters, which it again really weird because those dudes are like old as fuck now. So like,
I imagine it would be like I don't know what they're gonna do with it. I honestly, but yeah,
and
I don't know.
also it's like they were at dinner, they were at lunch, like when they stole the car. So like, how long could
Yeah,
they have?
how long
What
can
could
their day be?
what could they have possibly done?
yeah,
So yeah, I have no idea, but yeah, it's interesting. I heard that today too. Paramount was doing that, but
yeah, and it's like
but
it's crazy too because like you said, like you weren't. It came out in '86, so like before your time. But there's like a timeless quality to that movie that
yeah,
I think that a lot of those movies that came out then kind of have. And John Hughes was just really good at like writing like that. He kind of, even though he wasn't like a teenager when he was writing like The Breakfast Club and Ferris Bueller's Day Off, he everyone that worked with him then said that he just knew what like the youth of America at that time were like really wanting to see and how they were speaking to each other, and like uh he kind of was tapped into that, and that's kind of hard, I think, to I, I think that's why it's going to be hard to replicate because like all this stuff is already so timeless that you don't even need a spinoff. You can watch that movie today and be like, oh, I can totally relate. That movie is like every teenage kid's like fantasy. Like you just get like ditch school for a day and have that kind of adventure. Like it's like I don't know, it's completely relatable, and that's why I don't really think it needs a spinoff. But um,
and
it's
also there's one other thing they'll like you would never be able to replicate now, um, in with that movie is the parents, how aloof they are.
aloof. Yeah, like they have no idea what's
Like
going on.
they're just
Yeah,
like, Ferris is such a nice boy. Like you would like, there's no fucking way that they don't know what you're doing or somehow, because all
yeah.
check me not. So that's another thing they would be hard to. So we'll move on, figure it out.
Yep.
But
All right. Now that we've gotten some news out of the way,
it's time.
myself and Owen have already had our deep dive into movies that we really enjoy, and now that we're gonna try to do this more often, I'm gonna try to do it like once a month where we like switch off and pick a different movie. Um, I started us off with The Social Network. Owen did No Country for Old Men, And Jack told you all last week what his was gonna be, but remind everyone what film you are
Yes.
covering today.
So the movie that we will be doing a deep dive into is very Shawshank movie in my mind. I mean, you have
Right.
to watch this movie if it's on TV. It's fantastic. It's with one of the OGs in the world, the man, the myth, the legend, Denzel Washington. It's Man on Fire, released in 2004 with Dakota Fanning when she was like 6.
And acting,
And
acting, acting circles around Denzel Washington,
yeah,
or
absolutely
holding,
acting
or holding her own against Denzel Washington. I'll say that. I won't say that she was
100%.
acting circled around him. Um, yeah, before you get into your thoughts and everything, just like
Yes.
a few things that like surprised me, just looking up like how this movie did when it came out, and how it was received when it came out. One, I
Yeah,
did not know.
give us the full rundown. Give us the full
Yeah,
background.
so
This is
like
your
I'll just give you a little tidbits. This is directed by the late Tony Scott. It's based on the 1980 novel of the same name. Um, the novel, I didn't know this, had previously been adapted into a film in 1987, but it wasn't successful. Um, the movie, despite having like a huge like fan, like the audience loves Man on Fire. Like you can mention this movie to almost anyone, and they can tell you one of their favorite scenes, like why they enjoy it. Critics did not like it. They got a 38% on Rotten Tomatoes, which at the time, I thought was well received by critics when it came out. I had no idea that it's very rotten on Rotten Tomatoes. Um, but it still performed very well. It made $130 million worldwide against a production budget of 60 to 70 million dollars, and it found an even bigger life once it came out on home medias, and then of course multiple airings across like cable and basic cable. I think since 2004, so many more people have seen Men on Fire. A lot of people say this is a hot take because he's done a lot of good movies. A lot of people consider this their favorite Denzel Washington movie. Um, I won't say that personally; it's up there, but not not his best one to me. But a lot of people name it as one of theirs, and I think just my quick thought on it. I think this movie is a big like it's celebrated by a lot of his fans because it kind of almost falls in the Training Day camp where this isn't really like the typical role that he always plays. I think watching him play against type is fun because Denzel Washington is usually always like not so much the wholesome good guy, but he's usually like the hero in like the most like basic way possible usually. And then when he kind of like pivots from that, does something like Training Day, does something like this, it's exciting to see him like or American Gangster as well. It's exciting to see him like not play the type. And I think that's why a lot of people enjoy it. It's also insanely violent. I think that's why a lot of people also enjoy it as well. It has some really good action sequences. Tony Scott was really good at crafting movies like this. He had an eye for these kind of action movies. But yeah, those are just my quick thoughts on like, just being surprised that it was not as well received back then from critics. But I
yeah,
guess like
no, I
maybe you'll explain too that maybe it's just not a critics movie and it was made for us instead.
yeah, no, I mean I'm definitely gonna point out that we'll point out that first. Yeah, the Rotten Tomatoes is like 32%, and then the audience is 90%. It's wild. I would love to see the other movies that have such high discrepancies between audience and and
The
critics.
critic
I
score,
always
yeah.
thought that was wild. I never would have thought like it's like, oh yeah, let's see what Man on Fire on Fire is on Rotten Tomatoes. Never would have guessed that. If
Like,
anything, at most, which I get, there's a lot. There's a lot that I would assume that critics don't like. Um, but at most, I thought it'd be like maybe a 50. But yeah, they really didn't like this, which was just
yeah,
shocking. Anywho, so the reason I picked this movie, one, it's a fucking fantastic movie. Two, I think that Denzel's one of my top five, easy.
yeah,
Three, the cinematography in this movie sits with me so much that I just every scene is amazing. It's shot well. Um, it just sits with you. For Mexico City, like it was its own character in this movie, and it lent so much to the story. That's
Yeah.
the city, the culture, the way it's constructed. It's just fantastic, and it's like that's the reason I want to go to Mexico City, just because of Man on Fire. Like I would never want to go to the middle of Mexico, literally the middle of the country of Mexico, unless it was because I wanted to go to Mexico City because of this movie.
Yeah.
So there's that. Um, and then the last no last one I would always say that if anything ever happened to like my family, God forbid, and my dad was the only survivor, this is exactly what would go down. Um, that's what I think about my dad. I think he would do anything to do that. Love you, Dad. But yeah, no. And then lastly, the song at the end where it's like no dice nada,
Yeah.
where he's like it's one of the best end credit songs ever. I'll always tear up when I hear that.
Yeah.
So we can get into the whole entire thing now. So basically, the story of it is that Denzel Washington is a down and out alcoholic ex-CIA assassin. He disrupted territories everywhere across the world. He's just a bad. He wasn't a bad guy, but he was doing what America needed him to do. He was a soldier.
Yeah.
Bounced around a few places and meets up with his mentor and probably partner Christopher Walken, who retired, moves to Mexico as a white guy, and he does something for the factories down there, and they love him, and he exploits the system. He's rich as fuck, he's got a lot of connections, so he goes down there. He just sees his friend so decrepit, just being like, you gotta do something, John, and he even says like, you gotta get back out in life, like there's stuff to do.
Yeah.
So he puts him as a bodyguard, protecting a little blonde girl, who was played by
Dakota
none other
Fanning.
than Dakota Fanning. Her name is
Uh,
Lupita. She's
uh,
awesome.
yeah.
Lupita.
A 40-year-old in a
She's
little girl's body. I don't know.
seriously, yeah.
Dakota Fanning was like well beyond her years.
The
Like,
intelligence in that little cranium is insane.
yeah,
This movie, very,
such
very,
natural, the
very sharp.
natural.
She's very sharp in it. So he's just like, why am I doing this? It's whatever. It's like, well, because in Mexico City, it's very prevalent for kids to be kidnapped, um, and extorted for the insurance policy that rich people take out in Mexico. So that's basically the
Yeah,
premise of the story. Is he's hired on because they need protection of the daughter and all this crap. Other characters in this movie are
Mark
damn,
Anthony.
why am I forgetting? Yeah,
Mark Anthony.
how the fuck? Yeah,
Super,
Mark Anthony, the father.
really good in it, by the
Mickey,
way.
what's up?
I really good. I had no idea Mark Anthony could act until I
Oh
saw
yeah, I
this,
knew that. Yeah,
and I
very
was
good.
like, good job. Yeah, I
Oh
had no
yeah,
idea that he until I
he's
watched it.
got
Yeah,
range, man. He's got
yeah, he's
range.
really good. He's really good in it.
Mickey Rourke plays the lawyer, the family lawyer. And I definitely, when I first watched the movie, I didn't put two and two together. Like that's Mickey Rourke from the fucking the wrestler and all those other places.
And
But
Sin City. Yeah,
very, very, very good character. So basically, what happens is without spoil. Wait, are we doing? Is it spoilers? Yeah, we just roll in.
you can spoil. Yeah, yeah.
All
You.
right,
I
yeah.
mean,
So, anyways,
it came out 2004. So I hope
definitely, yeah. So
if you
yeah,
have seen
and
it,
as you said, everyone should have watched it. So as
right,
you
right.
guys all know, he's reluctant to do it at first. Bullshit. He's drunk. He's just trying to keep it together, like hold his life together. And the only thing that's like after like a couple months of hanging out with this infectious little girl of just happiness and just wants to be a friend,
Yeah,
Dakota Fanning, he like starts to realize that he can live again. Can enjoy life. He says in the beginning of the movie to Christopher Walken, it's like, do you think God will forgive us for what we've done? So he's definitely someone who would definitely his past weighs on him a lot.
yeah,
Um, he's not one of those mindless like sociopaths. Like he does feel remorse for what he's done in the past,
right.
under the blanket of the flag, which he now knows is probably not the best thing. So he's just he doesn't really know. He has no compass in life. He's just going through the motions. So basically, Pita brings her like back to life. He cares about her. He like grows close to her. He kind of becomes like a better father to her in that sense of that like he encourages her to swim and be confident and like talks to her as an adult and lets her speak her mind. So you can see that he actually like in a past life if he definitely didn't have a daughter, but he could have been a great father too. Like he did all that. So she ends up getting kidnapped, and it turns out to be this whole conspiracy where the father was broke, so he needed the money from the insurance policy. Um, and the lawyer was in on it with the police who have the anti-kidnapping division.
Yep.
And there's a reporter who is trying to expose it all. So she works with John Creasy. That's his name in the movie, John Creasy. And it just goes on from there. And he basically fucking goes scorch motherfucking earth on Mexico City. It's
full on
fucking
vigilante
yeah,
mode. It's amazing.
yeah. And so that's basically the whole entire story of it. You know, he gets her back in the end. He passes away. I think, you know, they says he do, but it's very cool that they do. They kind of end the story there. It's like
Yeah.
it's done. Like that's
Yeah.
it. This is all you get, which I thought was fantastic. Way to like just you're never gonna get another Man on Fire kind of thing,
Right.
until they remake it in 30 years. Yeah. Um, so where do
Yeah.
you want to go from? I can go a lot of different ways, but like you know, I hate talking in long
No,
sentences. So
I
where do you want to go with it?
it
Because you
was
watched it
interesting.
last night, right?
Yeah, yeah. It was interesting what you just said about how it wraps up. I felt this way the first time I saw it, and in subsequent viewings. It ends the right way, right? Like in my heart, I know it ends the right way. But sometimes when I watch movies like this, you get like connected with like the character because like it's nice to watch the character growth that he goes through from being around her. And so like I know based on like who his character was and what he was doing, like that would be like the most logical way for him to fall to like, die a hero and all that stuff. But like a part of me was just like I wish like we would know. I wish he could have like survived that whole ordeal. But I also know that that was the best possible ending that they could have for the film. I'm pretty sure it's the same in the book as well. I've never read the book before. Um,
I might have to
but
pick up the book.
um, it's interesting too because like you also talked about. I agree with you about the cinematography and Mexico City.
Oh, all right. Let's talk about
yeah,
this then.
yeah,
It's
looking like
fantastic,
its
dude.
own.
It's so
Yeah,
fresh.
it
Even
looks like
now.
it feels like it is its very own character. They were gonna set it in Italy at first, and then I guess by like the early 2000s, like kidnappings weren't that prevalent in Italy, so they were like, why would we set it here? And kidnappings were very prevalent in Mexico City, so they were like, okay, it makes more sense to like set the movie here because it feels more realistic to the time and to the area.
I did not know
So
that.
a lot of
That's
the
a good
character
tidbit.
names, that were originally like kind of like Italian, they changed and made them different nationalities and stuff like that as well. I think Mexico City was, I mean, Italy kind of looks beautiful as well in that film, but um, I
I don't think
agree.
it just
Like,
you know
right,
like
it
the
wouldn't have been at
city,
all.
yeah. Like it's so beautiful because it's so old, but like it's so gritty. It adds to it the thing. Like there's so many old people just like going about their day in there, but like they've seen some shit. And then there's the fucking cartels, and it wasn't even, and you know, just like just the hustle and bustle of this city that like you think like New York City never sleeps. Like I can't imagine what the fuck goes on in Mexico City at night and like
Yep.
all that shit. So
Yeah,
it let
and
the grittiness of that city really lent to the whole story and facade of like
I agree.
it's
And
this is a
I want to
dangerous
give
place.
a shout out to the cinematographer. His name is Paul Cameron. He
Yeah,
also
I looked that up.
he also was a cinematographer on Collateral, which also makes a lot of sense because that movie is uh, a
It's one
beautiful
of your
piece of
favorites.
filmmaking as well. Yeah, he also worked on Westworld as well. Um, but yeah, that alone, I think the look of that movie is what really stands out. Now there are some critical reviews that like have criticized the look of Man on Fire and how like
And that yeah, and that's why I said earlier. Oh, sorry, I'll let you finish it. But that's why I
no
said
no
earlier.
no yeah
That's the critics. That's going to be the critics' issue.
right
Is the
um
cinematography, the weird cuts, the
yeah
35 millimeter
they
film.
hated that. There's a lot of pointing out like yeah, and like for the type of movie Man on Fire is, that direction I think was the right direction. Like
It
that's the kind of like you want to be put in the headspace of like what's going on in that situation. And Tony Scott has done a lot of movies like that when he was alive, and like his style a lot got criticized by critics for being like too quick and too this and that. But like that's what this kind of movie needs. Um, and I wouldn't expect anything else from a project like that.
yeah,
So
no,
like yeah, yeah,
it was it even like the sound technician when or like the sound editing where they would like drop in like Dakota Fanning's like voice screaming Creasy like at certain
yeah,
times, like even before she was kidnapped. Like you're like, why is this happening? Or like, and you're just like, it lends so much to his psyche
yeah,
to be like, it's just so quick and fragmented, and then like sometimes he's copacetic and chill, but like when things hit the haywire, all of a sudden the editing of the film and the filters they use start getting crazier as well. So you're kind of in that zone with him being like, I'm switching the switch.
yeah.
I'm
I gotta
flipping
turn it
right
up.
now, and I'm
Yeah,
going CIA dominating assassin mode.
right.
And
Uh,
I just think it's like that whole buildup of the swim meet, and like her doing that thing because she loved it so much, but her father wanted her to play piano. I think that was such a perfect build up. And the last part where they're like, you know how to
yeah,
burp, and like you fuck around with that. But also I gotta how the piano teacher got like completely absolved throughout this whole entire investigation is out,
yeah. That
out
was
of my like
ridiculous. I was like,
like
okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree with
wild,
you.
wild.
Like
Like
completely
how
overlooked.
he did not get any smoke at all. So I
Yeah,
digress on that one.
whatsoever.
Yeah,
That
just
that
no
I was
smoking,
thinking.
no smoke.
I was thinking that last night when I watched. I was like, nothing's. I was like, all right. I guess everyone
Yeah,
can't.
yeah, everyone can't die.
Everyone
Um,
can't die.
so
um,
but then no, shit it's a fan. Great action scenes. Um, I don't know the wife or the mother, but she was great. I
oh,
think she
Radha Mitchell. She's like one of those actresses that's like, you like when you see her, you're like, oh yeah, she was in that. Like I feel like she's done a. She reminds me a little bit of like, not like the same look, but like Rose Byrne has that kind of thing in my book too, where it's like she's in a lot of stuff, but like you don't really think of like Rose Byrne as like a household name.
yeah.
Even though if you were to look at Rose Byrne's filmography, you're like, oh shit, she's in Bridesmaids, she's in Neighbors, she was in X-Men First Class, like she's in a bunch of stuff. But like I think like but you're right, she's very good in the movie.
I think
I thought
I
oh,
just,
I thought they were perfectly cast too. I thought like we talked about Mark Anthony. I thought she was perfectly cast. Of course, Dakota Fanning, uh, Christopher Walken is. I mean, he's Christopher Walken. Although
fantastic.
Marlon Brando got offered that part first, but he was really sick and uh, couldn't do it. Also, random. Robert De Niro was actually offered uh, Denzel's part before Denzel was offered it. And I'm trying to
See,
think like
I
in
don't
2004, would that work?
no, I don't know. Not even in 2004. I just don't think it would have worked with a white guy.
Yeah, you know what?
I think
That's
I think
that's
because
interesting too.
Denzel Washington was black and like and that's what lends to the city of because he was black. There's not a lot of black people. He is black. He's not was. He is black.
Yeah,
Um, and in the city of white people and brown and light and Mexican people, like, and he just like blended right in, and the hustle and bustle of the city just kind of blended him in. And I always
yeah,
thought that too. It's like, man, this black dude just walking around, like, black dude in shade, just walking around, and no one's saying a fucking thing about it. But if it was a
yeah,
white guy in his suit and glasses and doing all this stuff, it might be like a little bit more suspicious in my mind.
yeah. I agree with you on that too. And I didn't like really think about that till you said it. I also think the dynamic between uh him and Dakota
I
Fanning would have changed a lot. I don't think it would
I
have
was just
like
about to say that too.
I don't think it would like hit as well if it's Robert De Niro and Dakota Fanning. I think like like you said, him being black, and then also it's just like the optics in a good way work for that movie. I think. Like
No, yeah, it's like the trope of like, the the big. I'm not calling African Americans
I know what you're
bears,
saying.
but
Yeah, yeah,
like the big bear. Well, actually, no. Fuck you guys, because she says he's a big sad teddy bear in the movie. That's what I'm
yeah, yeah,
thinking.
yeah.
Yeah, so the big sad teddy bear taking care of the little deer in
Right,
this
right,
analogy. It works because like that shouldn't work, but like all of a sudden it does. So it makes it
right.
like way more like it really does kind of sit in. It's like Dakota Fanning's character is really pushing the light back into his
Sam.
life
Yeah.
with him. So
You know what's funny
it,
that this movie almost plays like a gritty version of like the Grinch. It's like she's Cindy Lou Who, and then he's the Grinch, and she just makes his heart grow.
flip that, flip that, flip that. That's awesome.
I
We just
while I was
compared
watching it
Matt to the Grinch.
to, to How the Grinch Stole Christmas,
You know
but
what?
that's the
Wait,
same vibe though.
is it a Christmas movie now? Can we dub it a
Oh,
Christmas
can it be
movie?
a Christmas movie? Yeah, but that's the vibe I was getting. I was
Um,
like, yeah, he gets like
that's awesome.
he's all like gruff in the beginning until he meets her, and then he's like, all
Yeah.
right, I can like feel again and care again, and like same thing,
So,
with a lot of violence though.
yeah, so it gets really good when we're introduced to the detective, played by Giancarlo G.
That's a hard name.
Whoa.
Gianni. He's
Is that
on
an L or an I?
uh an L in wait in
A
Carlo.
Jelani, yeah, whatever.
Oh,
Giancarlo
Gianni.
Gianni. We're just gonna go with Gianni. We're gonna go with Gianni. It gets really interesting when his character comes into play. His character is I think it's more internal affairs type judiciary cop where he investigates kidnappers, but also is wholly aware of the corruption within the police system. So he like in Mexico City, so
Yeah,
he investigates them as well. So
yeah,
basically, it's found out throughout the movie, the course of the movie, that La Hermandad, call or the brother, aka the Brotherhood, is
yeah.
behind this just gaggle of kidnappings. It's seriously it's a business to these guys. It's not nothing personal. They're
Right.
not like trying to. It's a business. They're getting money out of it. Everyone's corrupt. So there's this guy, Gian, whatever the fuck his name is. I'm gonna say is Miguel. Okay,
I
so
think it's
Miguel,
in
Detective
the
Miguel,
movie.
in the movie Detective Miguel. Um, it's just like this guy. He's this he knows what's going on. He's one of those cops that like uh turns the blind eye to all the bullshit,
All
but at the
this,
same
yeah, yeah,
time, but like is so smart and witty and plays the game the right way that no one will ever fuck with them.
yeah.
So he's in a good spot to do this. And then he is in cahoots with this reporter who, through all the kidnappings and whatnot that go on in Mexico City, comes to meet uh John Creasy, Denzel Washington's character, and they meet together. And it basically is the idea of that a reporter and a police officer can't go places that Denzel Washington's character can go. And in Mexico City, like you need to go to places that are just impossible to go unless you force your way in or
Exactly.
you're some type of way.
Yeah,
Um, so like normally you'd be like, this is like you can't do that. Like a cop can't do that and a reporter can't do that and all this nonsense. But back to Mexico City lending itself as a character and a driving plot point. This reporter knows it's fucking bullshit. This detective knows it's bullshit, and they just have to come. They come to the realization it's like, you know what? I think this is the best course of action is
for us to
letting
take
a
them.
fucking an ex CIA assassin just run rampant through Mexico City doing whatever the fuck he wants because you know what? The end justifies the means. And in
Right.
Mexico, I mean, I'm not from Mexico. I don't know the political. We all you can all assume
Yeah,
the
right.
political turbulence in all of Mexico, but the ends justify the means. And if it means I get like less, killers and cartel members out of the way, let's
Yeah, it
do it.
was. Yeah,
And you get and more to you, and you get to save a girl in the process, or like two
yeah,
actually. You save like two girls actually.
right.
Um, so it gets really good from there because then Christopher Walken is also in the underground of the world, so he like gets like that scene where he picks up all the guns, he's just like fucking, and then all of a sudden he like picks up a rocket launcher. You're like a legit like an RPG. We're like,
What?
oh,
There you go.
this is about to go
That's
down.
hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah, so basically what he does after he recovers after the kidnapping, he gets shot a couple times. He gets moved from hospital to hospital because corrupt people are trying to get at him, and just kill it, put it to bed.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm forgetting a huge plot point of the whole entire thing. The money exchange for Lupita, the girl, got fucked up, and because the mob boss's cousin was killed during the drop, he said he killed her. So the whole entire like dramatic thing, like he Denzel Washington is
that is a
huge plot point. I forgot.
That's a huge point. Yeah.
Huge plot point. So Denzel Washington is the angel of revenge right now.
Right.
He's just like fuck it, and he even says, and it's like revenge is a dish best served cold, and you're like, okay,
Yeah.
we get into it. So we get the heavy stuff when the first dude he kills, he duct tapes his hands to a steering wheel. That's one by one, chops his fingers off and cauterizes it with a cigarette lighter back when he still had cigarette lighters in cars. And he just goes through the whole entire thing. But who's this? Who's that? Fucking just sends him off a goddamn cliff and just kaplow. Figures out who's the next on the list. Turns out it's like the head of the anti-kidnapping division of the judiciary police in Mexico. Of course it is, because why wouldn't it be?
Why not?
The guy apparently who orchestrated the fact that the money drop got fucked up. So he gets fucked up next by having C4 jammed up his ass. And like and when I say like, oh no, they weren't like underground or like, they were literally in broad day public
daylight. That's the best. That's the best part about it.
Like no, not a tunnel. Like there's nothing. Like if anyone like wanted to roll up and be like, "Hey, what's up, guys?" It literally would have been like the easiest thing to do. So like again, Mexico City just built different. Do not care. Like see no evil, speak no evil. Like So that was wild, and I think this is one of the best instances of editing in the movie where they don't need subtitles a lot. Like maybe for some Spanish is obviously, but like they for some reason put in subtitles for like important sentences or like certain
a few movies do that,
phrases where it's just like in John Wick, for example, they do it randomly there. But I just think it led so much this time because it was just like every instance, and when he was killing somebody, they were all just saying, "I'm just a professional." You know what I'm saying? Like I'm a professional. Business, and it's just crazy to think. I mean, it's not crazy to think these guys are delusional anyways for being criminals of this degree, but like again, like I said, they think it's just a business to them. This isn't personal. They just take business in the kidnapping of people. Wild.
They have nothing against.
No, the disregard for it. So he just he taps like I'm just a professional. I'm just a professional. I'm just a professional. And it's funny too because he's talking about himself too because I'm a fucking professional. You're screwed. So does that just wild scene just fucking just blows his ass up literally. I'm not like no pun intended. Literally blows his ass up with C4 and walks away. And you get one of the
best shots ever. Yeah, that shot is like
one of the coolest movie poster scenes ever. Yeah, like it's money. And this actually, I waited to talk about this part in the movie because I think it's better connected when you just talk about it all at once. So when he first got in there, he was really struggling with himself. So essentially, he tried to kill himself at night one night. He got drunk and pulled the trigger and killed himself. The bullet didn't fire. It was a misfire. And if you know anything about guns and bullets, a firing pin, when you pull the trigger, a small little pin goes into a little dot in a bullet, which starts the incendiary, which lights the gunpowder, which sends the bullet out through a trajectory. So the pin hit the dot. It didn't go off. So it's like this whole like, what the fuck? So he calls Christopher Walken in the middle of the night and is like, you ever had like, see, he has no idea what he's like. I should be dead right now.
Right.
And the first thing he sees after talking to his friend, where he's like, a bullet tells the truth. He sees Lupita. Um, so there's like this like little connection of like, I'm here for Lupita. So he
Yeah, yeah.
saves that bullet because now he's like, I'm gonna use this bullet on the person who either set it in
And this,
motion or profited or anything from it. Actually, fuck, there's like two scenes that I keep forgetting about the scene. So
no, you're all good.
I'll go to this one and then I'll go back to the one I just thought of. Um, During the course of the blowing up the dude's ass with C4, he actually explains the conspiracy to him that it was the lawyer and the father who set
Yep.
up the whole kidnapping ordeal. So he goes to the fucking house again and it just like confronts him everything, tells the wife, and she's just like, whatever. And she
Yeah.
just goes, um, like straight face, like kill him or I will.
Yeah. I love that's so good.
And yeah, okay, so yeah, that's just amazing, and I'll get back to that. There's another scene with that, but yeah, so basically, it was really cool. He takes the bullet that was in. He keeps Peter's notebook around all the time with him. Takes that bullet out, empties all the bullets, gives him the gun, and is like, bullet always told the truth. Bullet hold no lies, whatever you want to call it. And Mark Anthony ends up killing himself because of the shame.
Yep.
Um, Now to go back to the scene I was thought of while I was talking about this was that when he originally picked up the notebook from her room, and the wife asked like, "What are you gonna do?" and he goes, "I'm just gonna kill them all." Like
Yeah.
when she goes like, she agrees and just goes, "Kill them all." I was like, "This is awesome." Like she gives him a kiss on the
Well,
cheek, like, "I give you my blessing." Like
yeah.
scorch the fucking earth.
The cool thing about that is because like I think like in other movies, like a character like her would kind of I want to say that would make her like emotional and frantic, and that would just be her like purpose. Uh, but I like that there's no like thought of like, oh, maybe you shouldn't do this. Maybe I don't want like more violence just creates more like no, it's like do whatever you need to do, like
Yeah.
no hesitation whatsoever. And I yeah, but and I think that goes back to the point of like what some critics hated and then what we all loved. Other than the cinematography, they point out the fact that they hate how the second half gets so violent. This guy Paul Davies said he thinks the critical reception in the States was less than kind because critics did not like the vigilantism that Creasy uses. And he argued that most critics missed the point that the character does not take sadistic pleasure in killing anyone. He's not like it's just something that he has to do to get point A to point B. This isn't about him like relishing in it. And he's like, I think that's what critics miss. They make it seem like he's getting all this like enjoyment from it, and it's not. It's that he was like they completely missed the mark on their criticisms of like the violence and like what the second half of the movie like. If you read like a few critical reviews, uh, they all talk about how the movie starts strong and then they think it goes off the rails in its second half because it just becomes like you know violent like action movie. But really, that's not all it is. If it was only that, I mean, I guess you can enjoy it on that level. Be like, oh, this is like fucking awesome watching him do all this. You could, but there's way more going on in the narrative and than just like it being like violent for the sake of being violent. And
Yeah,
I
no,
did
for
miss it.
sure. And I think that like that's why Mexico City was the perfect, because you had two, like, dude, cartels don't fuck around. Like, what are you gonna fucking like go at them like normally? Like,
Yeah,
so you had to do the absolute extreme. Now, would me and you both argue that a rocket launcher in the middle of a
and
in
the
the middle of a busy intersection um was
yeah, probably.
necessary? Probably not, but at the same time, was it fucking dope?
Yep.
Yeah. And then just again, Mexico City. The dude went into the car, got the guy, drove off, and no one said a fucking word. They were just like, okay, this just fucking happened.
Right.
So I think the critics at the time, I don't think America was at as aware of how ruthless an actual cartel can do, and like how blatantly how they blatantly disregard safety of just citizens, in the case of whatever they need to do.
Right.
No, I think it just wasn't as prevalent. I mean, everyone knows, cartels are dangerous, but
Right.
like it didn't really publicize until for maybe a little bit later.
Yeah.
Um,
But
but
who doesn't like seeing someone get their comeuppance though? Like that's what's weird to me about like the way they viewed it. Like, I
yeah,
mean,
it's like
like
he's a man on revenge, a man on fire, bro. Like I don't understand like why you'd hate that.
yeah, I don't
And
get it
like he
either.
did it in cool ways. Like he was interesting about it, and he had a purpose. He obviously we just made fun of the rocket launcher, but it there's a line in the movie where the reporter says the dude is more protected than the president of Mexico. So it's like, okay,
Yeah.
how are you gonna get past that? Rocket launcher,
Yep.
simple.
There you go.
Like there you go, rocket launcher.
Yeah.
Um, like and then obviously like you didn't have to shove C4 up some dude's ass, but like it got the point across
I
that
got the
he needs
point.
to say 5 minutes and like get it through. We need something cool.
I wish you had more
Um,
time.
I wish, yeah,
Yeah. You
I
had more time.
wish you had
More
more
time.
time. Yeah, no, fantastic,
Denzel Washington,
unreal.
like that, a great delivery, dude. Denzel
What
Washington
is
is so
fantastic?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Um, and then when it gets to like the whole like La Voice and the like the whole brother thing, kind of it does. It's not like crazy, like like
yeah,
from the beginning, you never see the dude's face, the bad guy, the ultimate bad guy's face.
right,
Um, and it's meant to do that because it's not just one guy; it's a fucking network of people. So he has to go through a lot of people and go to different barrios and go to different settings in Mexico City to get what he wants. And dude, like and it just shows you like when they're in the club scene where he like fucking just sets everything on fire and
yeah.
he's just killing both those dudes. Like one dude's from New Jersey originally. He's just like, what the fuck are you doing in this thing now? Like, what are you like? How'd you get into that? Like, I'd love to know how you got into this whole racket. Um, but he's just a man on a mission, and it's just a good fucking movie
I agree.
where you sit down at any point in it and be like, I can watch this for the editing, for the music, for the acting, for the actors in it, or
Yeah,
just the general just story. It's such a good movie to watch, and it's one of those things where it's like you just, again got to shout out my dad. It's like if fucking something happened, it's exactly
you
scorched
might do
earth,
the same thing. Yeah,
scorched earth, motherfucker. It's gonna happen. Watch out. But it's and then you gotta obviously I think we just need to dedicate a little time to Dakota Fanning because she was
yeah,
really in the she was really only in the movie for half the movie, but she was like spectacular.
yeah. You know, at the time this came out, right? So Dakota Fanning's first movie, she was 7 years old when she did I Am Sam. That was in 2001, and she kind of came into this industry like right away, like almost as like I guess a child prodigy of like acting. Like she really like and I Am Sam, like she holds her own with Sean Penn and Michelle Pfeiffer. And then
Mm-hmm.
and then she does Man on Fire and like holds her own. And like you said, only in the movie for that length of time, but and she has to do a lot for that. I mean, it's the bond works because of both of them, but she has to do a lot in a relatively short amount of time to like make you care about that union as well. And I think her performance is extremely important. And the thing about her too is that she has continued, like she hasn't really lost her acting streak at all. Like she has been good since she was 7 years old. And I it's just crazy watching her in something like this. Like we've all seen child stars, whatever, right? And like young kids who act. I always felt that her, like, you could easily be precocious and annoying. And I don't think she ever came off that way. She just had like this experience that was well beyond how old she was. And in the early part of her career, she was, like I said, working with Sean Penn and Michelle Pfeiffer. She was in Hide and Seek with Robert De Niro. Like she's in movies with all these like heavyweights. In this with Denzel Washington, and I don't think I wonder at that age if she even like felt intimidated or if it was just like, you know, this is my job and this is what I'm here to do. Like you really don't really get a sense that this girl like was ever nervous about sharing the screen with any of these people.
Yeah, no, definitely not. She's always great in whatever she does.
but in this movie specifically, like I think it's at least a testament to the writing of it too, because
Yeah,
she executes all the little things that like make you love this little girl. Like
yeah,
from the moment she's introduced when she's playing the piano and like runs over and her name is Pita. Like Pita, like who how do you not love Pita? Um she introduces in Spanish, but like, Americanized Spanish.
right,
No accent, but it's like, okay, she is like super polite. And then
yeah,
she goes throughout the whole house and she like names every single one of the workers in the house by name, says hi to them. So you get the sense that this girl is just genuinely nice. This little girl just like likes to be alive and is super happy.
right.
And then she sits down with him like and he's like, so, have you presented any children before? And you're like, oh, this girl's like really smart, and
Yeah,
it catches me off guard. Because one, he's never dealt with children, but like I think it catch anyone off guard. This girl who's so intuitive at such a young age to ask certain questions. Um, and then it kind of unfolds from there, where it's like, stop bothering me in the car,
yeah,
or I'm not your plaything, but like it's the little things where it's like when you first kind of realize someone's following him in a car and he asks Lupita for a pencil.
yeah,
She knows what he's doing because she's
right.
so aware of the fact that why he's there in the first place, because
Place,
kidnappings.
right.
And as soon as he gets out of the car to hand back the pencil he borrowed from her, she already pulls one out too. He's like, I have one. I had one too. I have an extra. And
Yeah,
you can look at it's very subtle, but it's just like,
yeah,
this
yeah,
girl's this girl's not, she's not
yeah. You're
all
like, she's all,
flannel.
she's all right. She's all right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she's all right. She's all right.
She's with it.
Um, yeah. And then the swimming kind of whole entire swimming dynamic where they're going through like laps back and forth. It's like just this some clicks where he's like, I know how to teach her how to do this. Like I don't know much, but I know how
Yeah,
to do this and train well because that's all I've learned how to do is train.
right.
And ends up like the nail in the coffin is when he's at the swim meet with the and the nun is she's like, today you are her father. And he's like, that's where it becomes like really real because she wins, she runs up to him and the whole thing, and
Yeah,
you're just like, damn, this relationship is really good.
yeah,
I really enjoy it. And I feel good for Creasy because like you see how like they're eating dinner together and she's asking about like concubines and he's like, oh, what's a concubine? I'm like, what?
yeah,
It's like, oh, it's in my textbook. It's like, oh, okay. Yo, let me check that out for a second. So
yeah,
she nails all of those interactions, and I'm not praising just Denzel Washington. He's the main character, but that character development has not that goes nowhere without her
yeah.
infectious attitude towards her acting style in this
Well,
movie. It's fantastic. Her performance is
and
fantastic.
that's why like like that's why the second half of the movie works so well because they built up this relationship that you care about and you feel like the change in him, right? And then that's why all the stuff that he does to avenge her is so significant and why it works. That's why it's not just violent for the sake of being violent. Like
Yeah, like
they built up this whole narrative before any of this stuff happened. And like that's why the back end of the movie works well too because like now you feel for them as characters. And so now you do want to see him like avenge her and like all that like I don't know. Yeah, you're right. It is a credit to Denzel Washington who is, was the veteran of the two at the time, but like it's also her, like you said, being completely likable in that role and not precocious. I think that's important because like you can be like annoyingly cute, and I don't really think she slips into that, and I
no,
think it's important.
because and then it leads into the score or the music onto it. I just think that the mix of like kind of like have metal with Spanish ballads really just worked well throughout the whole entire thing. Um there's a little bit of like, spiritual kind of tones in it to it too. So it just lends to the whole like every scene has this like different sound, but it all works together like so
Yeah.
well. Like that one night where they're discussing where the parrot, why he let the parrot go. And she's like, good night. And all of a sudden it's like this beautiful Spanish song where she's like playing with her bear and she like jumps into bed like every other little girl in the world should
No.
jump into bed, like happy with her teddy bear. And like that kind of represents like how she feels safe in her house with
Yes.
Creasy.
Yeah.
um, so like just like you wouldn't get that without the music and the feeling of like she just talked to her bodyguard, who she is now named this teddy bear after she sleeps with, so she feels very safe. And like those
Yeah.
scenes add so much to the overall emotional weight of like scorched earth, motherfucker, scorched
Yep.
earth. What's about to
Exactly.
happen?
Well, you know whose opinion really matters, who really actually loved it, was AJ Quinnell, who actually wrote the book. He said that a lot of screenwriters like to leave their mark on stuff that he has written, and he said that the screenwriter, in this case, Brian Hegelin, used a lot of his lines from the book in the movie, and that he was very happy with the job they did. He loved the chemistry between Denzel Washington and Dakota Fanning. He was at first concerned when they cast Denzel Washington because that's not the character in the book. It's not a black guy, but he said that he was like immediately forgot all that once he watched it because he thought he was perfect in the role. And he said like out of a lot of things that a lot of his work that people have tried to adapt, he usually doesn't like, but he actually did like what they did with Man on Fire. So I think that's important that the author of the book really enjoyed the movie as well because they can be hard to
And
please.
no, yeah, seriously, but I think not to digress off of Man of Fire, but it kind of leads back to your point where we were talking to you about before in the first half of this episode, where like original ideas.
No,
This was a book. Do you know how many fucking books there are in the world that have like good stories that you can just do? You don't need to make
well,
sequels. You can just make a book thing, you know? I have
no,
three series behind me that we could easily make a movie, and I think you'd like them too. Like the movies would be dope. But yeah, just I think people are the studios are getting lazy, but books are the way. Books are the way to get to a movie for sure.
right.
Anyway, that's really good. That I think I gotta read the book now. Fuck, I'm gonna go on Amazon right now.
You know what's crazy too to think about? I mean, as we kind of wrap things up, I was thinking
Mm-hmm.
this came out in 2004. Um, the box office climate has changed so much since then. I'm
18 years ago. Fuck me,
I'm wondering
Jesus.
if like if this movie came out today, would it have been as successful? Given the way the industry is now with the box office and like streaming, like would a studio even attempted to release it like theatrically, or if it would have like I wonder what they would have done.
Oh
What was
yeah,
that? Did you find
yes,
something?
yes. Please tell me this is true.
What is it?
Oh yes. It's a series.
Oh, is it?
The books. Yeah, it's a 5 book series. Yes,
Oh,
I'm
nice.
reading all of these. Let's go. Oh, it's
And
fantastic.
Jack
Let's
just found his
go.
new activity.
Yep. Oh, I'm so excited right now. Sweet. All right. Yeah. No. Sorry. Before I cut you off with my excitement. What was up? What's up? What
No,
were we saying?
I was just wondering like because this came out in 2004 and like it was a different box office climate then. I just wonder if this came out today if it would have been as successful like theatrically, or if there would have been a push to like oh let's like sell it to a streaming service, or if they would have like tried as hard to like give it a theatrical push if it came out today.
Huh.
Because this is an action movie that is geared more toward like adults, right? This isn't like it's not really made for young people. Uh, the idea, especially now, is that like there's certain demos that are going to the movies, young people, and certain demos that aren't. So I just wondering like if since this is more of like an adult driven action movie, if it would have been as successful, in 2022 compared to like 2004.
Hmm. Um. I think it kind of. I think because I like the point I said earlier about the. I think America not knowing the severity of cartels 18 years ago.
Yeah,
Um, I think it would have diluted away from the story now. um, think Sicario. You
Oh
know,
yeah, yeah.
like
That's a good comparison. Yeah,
yeah, that would be it would be yeah, like the fantasticism of like having 80 bodies in a fucking Texas flat house.
right,
The DEA came in, it's I think it would have been too much for now
right.
because of all the, to make it believable, you'd have to have like the DEA involved, and it's like, people will point that out.
Yeah,
It's like, where are the authorities in all this? Or, something like that where they're complaining. So I think 2004, like right around that time where everyone was like, hey man, the first gonna be 2004, 2005, 2006, great years.
yeah,
Great years. Right before the economy crashed, 2008, great.
yeah,
Couple of years there, okay? So no one was questioning anything about that, but there was none of that nonsense. I don't know if it would do as well now because I don't. It'd be hard. I can't think of like a child actor that would be obviously like Dakota Fanning wasn't fucking known, but like if I had to pick a child actor, it'd be like okay, like there's
yeah,
always one. There's always
yeah.
one. Like there's always like one for like that for a couple of years. Example being like Macaulay Culkin.
Right.
So I don't think there was any like Millie Bobby Brown. That would be it.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? It would be something
yeah.
like that. Um,
I can't think of anyone but him
any
doing it though.
any
I can't
child
think of
actor,
anyone else.
yeah.
I can't think of anyone but Denzel doing it though. That's weird. I can't replace him with anyone else like
I can
currently
see like
that like.
Gyllenhaal doing it.
Yeah, but okay. Like, well, what about another black actor though?
Another black
Because
actor.
like I can't. Idris
No,
Elba.
yeah. I mean, if are we recasting or remaking in this the talk?
I guess in this talk, like if it was released today, I guess we're like recasting it, like because we
Okay,
can't use the
recasting it,
2000.
same everything else.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Like Idris Elba is the only guy I can think of maybe that
You
would
actually
be a.
know you know what? And this is not. Have you ever seen Letter to the King
No,
with
no,
Chadwick Boseman?
no, no.
All right, watch that tonight. It's an hour and 29 minutes. It's fucking fantastic. That's my answer. If
Right.
rest in peace
Give me a
to
piece.
the king, um, Chadwick Boseman, he would have been surefire for this role.
Right.
And I tell you that because you all need to watch Man on Fire. You need to watch A Letter to the King. It's on Netflix. Like, it's a Netflix produced one. It is fantastic, and it's kind of like the same, Angel of Revenge type thing, but
Right.
it's so fucking good.
And I said a black actor only because of what we said earlier about because I think if it was
No,
Gyllenhaal, if it was Gyllenhaal and Millie Bobby Brown, it'd be the same. Like, okay, well, I guess it's like it's still. I mean,
well,
he's a good actor, of course, right?
It did work in Southpaw, where father and daughter,
Oh,
but
yeah, yeah, yeah.
little different. But yeah, no, definitely keeping it a black guy. I'd say Chadwick Boseman. Unfortunately, rest in peace to the king again. I just like saying that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he would be fantastic for the role. On top of that, I could see. I don't want to mess his name up, but Yaha.
Oh,
Black
Candyman
Manta.
and Bagman. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I can see him doing it. He has range from HBO Watchmen.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
got range.
I can see that too. Actually, not a bad switch.
Yeah, I think Idris Elba. Nah,
I think he has a
I've
presence.
seen
I think it's a presence though.
he has a
For it.
presence, but like I've seen him in too many like down and out like old men roles, like Street Cowboys on Netflix again. If you saw that, it's like he's the old, older wise guy and stuff. I necessarily think him, but he would work. Obviously, he's Idris Elba.
Really good actor. Yeah.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Yeah, for the kid, I can only think of Millie Bobby Brown, and maybe that's because I don't follow a lot of kid actors and actresses. I'm not really. I should know more, but like when you brought up the whole kid actor thing, I was like, someone from Stranger Things, and then you said her name, and I was like, yeah, that's the only person I can think of currently, and she's too old, kind of, for the part, is she at this
Yeah,
point?
she's way. I mean,
Is she
they
old?
could
Yeah,
make it work. They could
yeah,
make it work, but it would be like totally worse because she'd be 18 and not nice to her bodyguard. She'd be a bitch because she's 18 or like 16.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's not she. Fuck. Well, I mean, good article for you to write for Joe Blow in your
Yeah,
spare time.
I know. Just like, yeah, let's recast Men on Fire. And, or why can't I think
No,
of any
no, no.
other?
Like,
Why
find
can't I think of
who
any
is the
child actors?
yeah who is the child actor of like this decade right
Who
now
is
besides
the besides Millie Bobby Brown?
yeah. But yeah, no. To wrap it up, I guess with the overall deep dive into Man on Fire. I just think it's Shawshankable. Like put the stamp on it. Shawshankable movie. Um, one of Denzel's absolute best performances in my opinion. Um, just overall fucking good movie. I can't. There's not
Yeah,
much more I can say. I've said everything I need to say about this movie.
and
I
it
might
hold
watch
and
it
it
again tonight. But it's
yeah
just so fucking.
it holds up really well too. Like you said, it came out 18 years ago, which makes me feel old. Um, but it holds up really well still. Um, and what I liked about this choice, because I think like I mean the two movies that Owen and I picked, like we liked them, but like of course like Social Network was like nominated for Oscars, No Country for Old Men nominated for Oscars, right? So with Men on Fire, you have more of like an audience movie rather. I mean, of course, the audience also liked those two movies too, but this is a pure like
Naturally.
audience movie. Like this is like not wasn't made for like 70-year-old movie critics apparently that were reviewing it that weekend. Um,
Yeah.
so that's why I also think it was an important choice. I'm like I'm glad you picked this one, just because it just shows that there's so many different types of films out there for different tastes, and everything doesn't have to be like prestige for you to like find value in it
Oh,
and
I
enjoy it.
fucking love. I mean, I'm not. We're not saying the Man on Fire is a shitty movie, but I love
No, no,
crappy
no, no.
movies.
Yeah, no, no.
No, no,
Like, yeah,
I'm just making the comments. Like I like a lot more movies than people like think I lead on. Like I do. I'm a big nitpicker, but I love like a lot of shitty movies. It's hilarious.
yep.
But yeah, no, I just like every time I think of like movies in the sense of like what movie do I really want to talk about? It's always the movies that strike a personal chord with me. And as I've mentioned throughout this whole entire thing, it's this movie reminds me of my dad. He's the man. But I think I've said before too that I think I compared him to Denzel Washington in a previous episode of some sort. So yeah, just want to do that.
Yeah,
Dope movie. So everyone should watch it. It's on Peacock for free. Peacock's not free, but the movie is on there for free once you have Peacock. Um, but
yeah.
yeah, shout out to you
Revi-
guys for choosing on.
Definitely
Um,
revisit it for sure. It's a very
definitely
easy, and and it's 146 minutes, but I never really felt I don't feel the
hundred
runtime.
percent,
It
hundred percent.
it moves pretty quick, despite
Yeah,
how
so
long it
I
is.
watched I watched it on Saturday night, pretty drunk at like 2 o'clock in the morning. I fell asleep during the second half. So last night I watched it and I read a book for the first half with the subtitles on. Then when we got to the action part,
Right
turned that on, took the book
off.
down. It was perfect. It was like, all right, got
All right.
everything in tonight. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a great movie. Excited. Happy that Gaius got to take the packaging off his Blu-ray. That must
Yeah,
have been
I did.
awesome.
It
That
also
must
took
have been
forever.
cool.
It took forever for me to find it in the row of movies. It wasn't. There's no order to this anymore. It used to be an alphabetical order. It's not anymore
No,
because
we
there's
need to
just
get
too
on.
many.
We need an intern.
So I had to like quick scan like 5 different times to find it, but I eventually did.
Yeah, we
Um,
need an intern for that.
and honestly, we mentioned this last week, just to show how like people were like really into that chemistry, just like the familial chemistry between Denzel Washington and Dakota Fanning. I mentioned it last week, but I wanted to mention it in the episode. Like Antoine Fuqua is directing The Equalizer 3, and I guess he's talking to Denzel about like, all right, who should be like the girl? And there was a girl in the movie. They haven't really given out plot points, but like, who should be the girl? And then Antoine Fuqua, I guess, was thinking, he's like, should we like see what Dakota Fanning's doing? And then Denzel was like, yeah, it's been a while since I worked with her. Let's see what she's doing. And they reached out to her, talked to her for like a little bit, and she was just like, yeah, I'm down. I want to do it. and so she's gonna be in the Equalizer 3 with him. But that story got so much traction from like it did really well on like I'm sure on like everyone's platforms, but like it just did really well, and I just thought and this is all because of like
Man on fire.
Made of Fire, a movie she did when she was like so young, but they were just
10.
like, no, I want to see these two together in a movie again. And I would have never guessed that like that story would have taken off the way it did, but like it's that's just a testament of like how strong the chemistry was and how like how beautiful that relationship is in the movie. I think that has a lot to do with like it. But yeah, like people were just down to see them like reunite. And I'm not even saying that Equalizer 3 is gonna be like great, but like it is kind of cool to like be able to see them in the movie again together. It'll be interesting to see how they act together now that she's older and definitely has more experience now. But like,
And then he's older too.
and he's older. Yeah, he's also older.
Like
Um,
75 or something. Jesus.
but I think there's like I think there's just like what I love, and I even think back then because I remember when Denzel Washington did interviews for this movie, he had a lot of respect for her in 2004. Like he was just like this girl is like this is she's child actors shouldn't be this good. It's basically what he was like in a nutshell. What he would say about her. So it'd be interesting to kind of see like what their dynamic will be like now. Um, I'm sure they still got it though because she's still very talented. I've seen her in like stuff recently. She hasn't lost her mojo, and he'll never lose his. So
No, he won't.
perfect,
No,
perfect. But yeah, that was a good one. I guess mine will be next. I don't know what I'm gonna do yet. I'm kind of like shuffling between like a few. Um, but yeah, I will announce it when I figure out what movie I want to deep dive into for next month.
Yeah,
Um,
no, I think just to be I don't know, you choose it. Yeah. Just
yeah,
Make sure you have it on Blu-ray, or I can find it on streaming.
yeah, I will.
I can
I will
find
make
anything.
sure. I will make sure whatever choice I make, like we all have to be able to find it
Yeah.
on
I can
some
find it online.
platform.
Our listeners might not be as morally adjust as I am when it comes to pirating movies. No,
Yeah.
I'll bleep that out.
And I know I said this in the last episode, but then we came up with doing the deep dive. We are still in the very slow month of the end of August, early September. So I will be posting any ideas that you kind of want us to do for an episode, any movie that you guys want us to talk about uh during an episode. It can be anything. I'm gonna throw that up on the Back to the Blockbuster page and G Reels, so you can kind of give us an idea of like what movies or even TV. We're fine with that too. Like uh what you kind of want us to jump into. Because I am open to suggestions because it is a very, very, very slow fall. There was like a big article in Variety today about how like they can't believe like the studios and schedule bigger movies from
Yeah.
like mid August until like basically October.
How
It's
dope would it have been if Black Adam came out?
and like during the summer like it was supposed to.
Like what if it came out like next week? That'd be fucking
That'd be
sick.
great. No, but
That'd be
we gotta
sick.
wait till October 25th.
Yeah, I
Um,
don't know.
the only thing I'm excited for in the fall is "Don't Worry, Darling." That's Olivia Wilde's uh
Yeah.
movie. That looks really, really good, but it's not gonna like blow apart the box office by any means. I don't think. Um, but yeah, it's a slow few weeks, so like any suggestions will be greatly appreciated.
I
As I
mean,
forgot.
Case, you know where they can leave that, right?
Oh, here you go. Here you go.
I mean, they can do their homework as I'm asking you guys to do every week. Just throw it in the comment section. Give us a DM. It could be on G Reels too. It's like, hey man, can you guys talk about this? We're always down to hear everything else. I mean, you got people now being like, hey, you guys are doing really well. So you'll be getting shout outs at the end. So my shout out today, besides my dad, is Ruby, my man Ruby. He one of the best guys I know in South Bay. Hilarious person, great Uber driver, Lyft driver. If you ever
Nice.
catch him, he's the man. But he listens to the podcast and he says we're doing a great job. So I appreciate you, Ruby, for listening. Make sure you do the homework. And Case, you got any final words before we go into the send-offs?
I'm gonna say this too because we were talking about it. I want to mention it. We will be doing more reels on Instagram because actually I think Jack more than anyone saw like the importance of doing those. And then I didn't realize until recently on G Reels that I actually get paid for posting reels. Uh, so that nothing motivates you more than money. So
Yeah.
I was,
So, yeah.
but the cool thing about it is that Playlist has brought this up before, and they're either like you could create the reel yourself, and like Jack did one when that Ben Affleck Batman Jason Momoa Aquaman 2
Yeah.
stuff broke. He did that on his own. It was also suggested that like they could also edit some and make them like add cool music and shit to it. So there's options for those. But we will definitely be posting more of those on the Instagram page because I think more than just reposting a Hollywood story on the Instagram, like just going like copying and paste an image from the Hollywood Reporter, and be like, oh, look what happened today.
Yeah.
We need more
I
of
think
us.
I think it's more important if it comes from us. So reels are very quick, so you'll be seeing a lot more of our mugs on the Instagram page, and then by association, the TikTok page too will be updated a lot more as well. So yeah, I wanted to throw that out there because I felt really like out of touch. I didn't get how important reels were because I thought they were just basically ripping off the TikTok stuff, but I guess.
Well, they are, but
But I guess you can make it work together if you have two if you have
exactly, yeah.
both of those things. So
No, yeah, that's
so
fine.
so yeah, that's all I wanted to say on that. You'll be seeing a lot more
More
of our
content coming, baby. More
a
content.
lot more of our
coming.
pretty faces on Instagram.
Damn straight, baby. Damn straight. All right. Well, with that being said, just want to give a big shout out to our sponsor, Playlist Studios, for hooking it up, making sure that we are sound fantastic, are edited fantastically. You can catch us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, and any other platform where you like to listen to your podcasts and music and audiobooks. My name is Jack Gonzalez. That's Gaius Bolin. You can follow him at G_Reels. He is the insider scooper, man. He gets it all. And as Gaius, I appreciate spending time with you every Monday and every Saturday and Sunday and Friday.
I love it too. I'm laughing at Insider
Yes, you
Scooper.
lot,
I don't know
yeah.
why. I don't know why Insider Scooper sounds so weird. I'll take it though.
No, yeah. But we appreciate you guys. Like, follow, and subscribe on all the channels. And if you got, like Gabe said, if you have anything to add or want to hear something, hit us up. Let us know because we'll talk about anything, as you can tell.
Yep.
Now, with that being said, it's time to assign the homework again because people are doing it. As I just mentioned, people are reaching out to me saying they're doing a good job. So those people who are rating us and following us and getting that algorithm on our side, keep doing the homework. Tell your mother, tell your father, tell your sister, tell your mother, tell your cousins, tell my Aunt Momo, and then tell Gase's brother to listen to the podcast and tell his friends to it. So it's all about it. It's all we want to do. Have fun on this podcast. We appreciate you. Like, subscribe, comment, tell us what we need to do to make it better for you guys to enjoy better. That's all that really matters at the end of the day. And that's it. Do the homework. Appreciate you guys. Have a good weekend. Peace.
Yep. Peace.